Okay, I'm out here in the garage with the dogs. It's cold as I don't know what. I don't know if you can see the dogs here in the background. We all get huddled up in here. We have us a little bit of something to eat and something to drink, and we're going to talk about a few things. Previous video I put out about Advance Auto Parts closing or having trouble. Got a pretty good response, so I'm going to ride the lightning, okay? And a lot of people like my unscripted style and stuff like that. And that was a pretty good one. Usually I get to rambling. I've got me not a script, but just a few crib notes here, a few notes because right now I'm talking about dogs and eating and stuff like that. And I've had a few cold drinks. Anyway, let's get right to it. Other people says I'm rambling and ranting. What's all about? That's what it's all about, rambling and ranting. But anyway, the question that I had posed was, why are car parts stores, auto parts stores struggling? And in particular, I was talking about Advance Auto Parts. And one thing I want to say, a lot of people commented that they didn't like the people that worked there. They had a problem. I've never had a problem with anybody that worked at any auto parts store, I don't think. They were doing the best they could, and they were, especially at Advance that I've dealt with a lot, always very helpful and a lot of times more knowledgeable than me on the newer stuff. There was a few women that worked down there. I said, I'm having this problem with it was a Jeep, and he says, probably the coil packs. I'm like, I don't know. I was kind of doubting her. She said, look, she brought back a big box of coil packs for the 3.7 liter, whatever Dodge or Jeep Liberties. She said, I sell them by the dozen. She said, that's what's the matter with it. I said, if that's what's the matter with it, I'll sell you this. If I can get it fixed, I'm done with it. I'll sell it to you for $500. And I plopped that coil pack in. It fixed it, and I took it down there. I said, there you go. You can have it. I'm done with it. But anyway, why are auto parts stores struggling? And a lot of the responses I've got, again, I'm going for my notes here. Many people said that cars are too hard to work on yourself these days. And that was probably my number one response. Probably my number one response. Top 10 answers on the board. Survey says your car is too darn hard to work on these days. And yeah, back in the day, you had a coil, a distributor, points, or maybe a simple electronic control module, be it in the distributor with your GM stuff, or a little module a little box on the side with your Mopars like this one, or Ford, had another little electronic. If it just went bad, it went bad. You went and got another one. That was it. That was everything. So it wasn't a million sensors or something that could have went wrong. And you had your plugs and your wires, and that was the ignition system. That was it. If you wasn't getting fire, it was something there. Simply points. There's a couple wires, a coil. Your coil went bad. The points are, something wrong with the points. Then you check them. Usually it was the points, and that was it. I mean, that's why you're not getting fire. And you had a carburetor and a mechanical fuel pump that was usually bolted on the side of the motor. Pretty easy to get to. You can just, take a 1/2-inch wrench, crack the line loose at the carburetor, crank it over, squirting gas. You're like, okay, it's getting gas to the carburetor. You reach down there and manually pump the carburetor like this. You're like, yeah, it's getting gas here. Okay, so you got gas, you got fire, you got a little bit of timing. The timing's right. You got compression. It should run. And so a few tools that you get from Montgomery Ward and a Children's manual, you can about figure the thing out if you had any damn sense about you at all. You could fix it, if something went wrong, if it started running bad. Now, our top story tonight, General Alessimo Franco is still dead. No, that's okay. But nowadays, you have got to have an expensive diagnostic scanning computer that requires updates that cost you some money. and an understanding of how to use it, and kind of, you got to kind of know them. It might be telling you this stuff, and if you're not up to date on it with these new, vehicles and stuff, you don't even know what that is. Crank sensor, what's that? So a person who's been grandfathered into it, like I have, been working on cars all my life, if you don't stay with it, as it evolves, you get lost quick. And I've said this many times. I said, well, you need to get one of those. I worked on some of the newer ones and stuff like that. Well, get one of these. Well, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm like, I don't understand really how to work on some of these new cars, and I don't want to. The heck with it. I got those 74 Dodge right here. I understand very well. If you got a 68 through probably mid-80s Chrysler, or maybe even a little older, I'm your man. I can tell you what's the matter with it real quick. Chevy's the same way. Ford, not so much. I'm not bashing on Fords. I just never had too many of them, but I could probably figure them out too. They're not that complicated. The newer ones, I ain't got a clue. Don't have a clue. So if you don't keep up to date on that stuff, I'm going back to my notes here now. How many people have time or the interest? I'm interested in cars and stuff like that, but how many people have the time or the interest to work on this newer stuff? And I think what happens is these cars that you buy nowadays, since, for the last 25 years, which, the 2000s, let's just say the 2000s, you see a lot of these broke down. You see a lot of mechanic shops and stuff like that. These cars just piled up outside. They can't figure out what's wrong. They're just piled up with them. And they're either so expensive to fix, or, take a car that's 5, and it's nothing to see a car that's 5, 10 years old that's just rusted to the point, the frames and that stuff, they're not worth fixing. Or they're not worth taking someplace to have it diagnosed to see what is wrong with it, to go fight to get these parts, to get it. It's already got, they do get a lot more miles on them now, but you better get them on there quick, because they'll rust out and be obsolete in 10, 15 years. So you got that going for you. So the easy way out, what's the easy way out? I think most people buy a car, they make the payments on it for 5, 6, 7 years. By that time, it's about, it's starting to show its true colors, and you just trade it in if there's anything left for the trade-in value on it, and get you another new one and drive that one for 5 or 10 years. Cars have become disposable despite their high price tags, and that's the end of my little script here. But they're becoming disposable. You just don't fix them up. I've got this old, I fool around with these old ones, and here's what I got sitting in the garage, 74 Dodge. I can still get a lot of parts for it. And there's not so many darn parts that are obsolete. The carburetor, the little 2-barrel carburetor they used on these cars, same one they used on the trucks. So there's, for millions of vehicles use that kind of carburetor. The little ECU, electronic control module, that's the same one they use on all the Chryslers. It's just 318 distributor, blah, 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 blah. B-body gas tank. So there's still a little bit of aftermarket there for them. Whereas these new ones, there are so many of them, and they change and change and change. They're not always backwards compatible, and that's one thing I never did like about Fords. They had a new idea, and the heck with this old idea. We're not doing that again this year. We got a new thing. We got a new one. And we're not doing it. So that's one of my problems I always have with Ford. Again, I'm not Ford bashing. I like Fords. But that is a lot of the reasons why people don't, they don't go to the parts store. But are they fixing old cars? Are these older cars, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old cars, are they being fixed? They are being fixed. No? Yeah, they are being fixed. So, if you're not doing it yourself, you're hiring a garage to do it. So they're buying parts, aren't they? Do they get them from the dealer, or do they? I think they might wait around trying to get the best deal on them, mark them up a little bit, get their margin, their markup on them themselves, buy them off of the internet, But they still do a lot with Advance Auto Parts and local dealers, and we're trying to get this stuff together. But a lot of times it's hard. It's hard to sell this to a customer. Like you need this part right here, and it's $600, and I'm going to charge you $300 to put it in. What's a little bit more easier to swallow is, here's this part, and get it online for $150, $200, $300, and I'm going to charge you $200 to put it in or something. They might go for that, but when the part is just, then I'm going to charge you this to put, and I got to get a little bit for diagnosis. I got to get some money in here too. The decision of the customer to whether to fix this thing or not, a lot of times it hinges on the price. And if the price for the part that it needs, and again, this diagnostics, you're like, I hope that's all it needs. Shit, I don't know. I hope this is going to fix it. We bought a Jeep here not long ago, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and that thing was like $40,000 brand new back in the day. 8 years later, it'll die and quit or give it full throttle or this or that. You tried several different sensors and these, some of these backyard mechanics trying little things. Well, eventually I had to hook it up to a, $2,000 computer with the latest program to find out that the actual brain, the ECU, which is yay big, was just fried. It didn't know what to do. It couldn't tell you what was wrong with anything because it didn't know itself. It had got Alzheimer's, So we had to buy another one of those. The computer was like $400. We got the computer plugged in. It just locked everything up. Said, no. Well, had to get another computer, the one that we didn't have, a different computer, and somebody knew how to use it to come in here and marry that system to this thing, and then it did good. It was good to go after that. But, here's a car that, and it had a lot of rust on it underneath. Here's a car that, here's this Jeep Grand Cherokee. This guy gave $40,000 for. He got it paid off at 6, 7, 8 years old. Now it's dying and starting back up and going full throttle. It's going into hold my beer mode and all this stuff. You don't know what's the matter with it. We buy it off of him, and then we got to sink another $1,000 or couple into it to just, I'm not sure if this is going to fix it or not. It did, but we didn't know whether it would or not. So it's just a mess, and 2 or 3 of those, you get lucky on one, and on another one, you might not be so lucky. You kind of get a little bit once bitten, twice shy. You don't want to fool anymore. Again, the easy way out, buy a new car, pay it off. When it starts acting up, trade it in, get what you can out of it, get another one. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. I don't live by that philosophy. I drive these old ones. As far as I've got into is the toilet bowl injection, the throttle body injection on these 88 to 98 Chevy trucks. And that was about the peak right there. That's about all the technology I can handle. Other than that, I've got this old Dodge, and like the old folks say, the old anti-Mopar guys used to say, and I use all these things. The guys said, well, when the frost comes, 2 things you got to put up. You got to put up your pumpkins and your Mopars because they're not going to do too good. I like those kind of jokes, even though I'm a Mopar man. But I think I've rambled on far enough, and I'm going to just put this video out and let you guys comment on what you think about it. And I appreciate everybody who comments, appreciate everybody who likes, appreciate everybody who watches, and everything like that. So I love y'all, and we'll see you next time on The Shed Show.